Hey, just a little update on how we're doing. Um, Staying home, obviously. I'm a little bit concerned about, I want to say an hour ago, probably, well, maybe not quite an hour. Patrick, that's my 17-year-old son. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Um, Please subscribe. Uh, Patrick, about maybe 45 minutes ago or so, came and told me that he was lying down, and even with his blankets on, he's feeling cold. This is a kid who doesn't get cold. Um, so I am concerned that he's getting ready to start a fever. So I did have him take some ibuprofen and told him to lay back down, and I'll see how he's doing in a little bit. I was out shopping with him for some bare basics yesterday, but not like anywhere crowded. We hit actually most of the places we went, he stayed in the car because there were places that we just needed one or two small things. I can't really carry much. My surgery was February. No, that's the wrong surgery. I did have surgery in February. That was the weight loss surgery. My excess skin removal and the muscle repair in the diastasis recti repair was done on February 26th. My eye surgery was then done after. Well, the two of them were done like the week after that. So I'm not supposed to be lifting anything. Like, they were appalled when I went for my first checkup at the doctor's office that I was even carrying a purse. And at first I thought they were being overly cautious until I realized that even just like driving, just using your arms, for driving, the big incision from the skin removal isn't really the issue in terms of pain, because a lot of that area is numb. But where the separated muscles were fixed, and these are muscles that separated during pregnancy, and my baby would be my 17-year-old that I just mentioned. My sons are 22 and 17. So for 17 years, I have just lived with that my stomach was kind of, uneven, and like if I went to do a crunch, it looked like most people do a crunch, their abs tighten. When I would do a crunch, they'd pop up, and it would look like, alien head trying to push its way up through the skin, like, cheap science fiction sort of special effects. But so that was repaired, and there's no incision over it because they went in through the big hip-to-hip incision. They have that skin like practically over your head. They make such a big cut when they're doing the loose skin removal. So there was no need for an additional incision upward. So where I'm feeling most of the pain is really all internal suturing. Having said that, I am having to take it very easy. Patrick and I have been trying to practice as much social distancing as I hope all of you are. And one thing that I had thought that he and I, now this was yesterday, I was thinking this as I was getting ready to go to bed. It's like, I thought of something cool that Patrick and I could do to, as it is, it's kind of like one meal a day we're having together. We're trying to do within your home you should be distancing too until you're sure that everybody is healthy. Like, I was away from him for 3 weeks, which, between the scheduled surgery and then the retinal detachment and the surgeries that followed that, I was away from him for 3 weeks, and I may not gush enough about how wonderful my kids are. They're young men, but they're, if you're a parent, you know what I mean. They're always kids. It doesn't matter how old they are. Dennis and Patrick are wonderful. Dennis is living with my mom, who is just turned 51. That makes her 76. Yes, 76, because she had her birthday in February, and my birthday's not till August. So she's 76, and again, if you're new to my channel, my dad passed away on January 1st of this year. So Dennis is a great help to my mom. He's 22, and he's He's about 6'2". He can help her with anything that she needs as far as lifting stuff, reaching stuff. This could turn into an incredibly long and convoluted story. I'll spare you that. And some of you, if you are used to my videos, are saying, oh, thank God she's sparing us, because I've gotten into my share of long and convoluted stories. But just suffice it to say that my mother had a medical incident where she lost consciousness twice during the time while my dad was sick before he died. And there was uncertainty as to whether or not it was seizure activity. Now, my mom had never had seizures before in her life, but when the neurologist who saw her in the hospital saw her, and listened to her talk about the two incidents, and I happened to be on the phone with her during the second one, and she just went out mid-sentence. Like, I was speaking, she cut me off and said, Denise, stop talking, I have to tell you something. I'm going to pass out. And that was the last thing I heard. And first of all, that's terrifying to hear your parent say that. I was already in the car about a little over an hour away. I was on my way to her house, and I was calling to let her know there was a little traffic and we might be a few minutes late. Patrick was with me. And we were about an hour away. And to have that happen, I was like freaked out. So I called 911 because she didn't even hang up the phone. So it took a minute for me to... It's one benefit of smartphones. When you tell them you need the call to end and to call emergency services, that they do it. Because she was unconscious before she hit the floor. She didn't even have a chance to put her hands out to break her fall. So her head hit hard. So what caused it? Uncertain, but she ended up in the hospital. I promise this wasn't going to be too convoluted. At least I didn't start back in November, okay? I saved you some of it. So anyway, the doctor that saw her in the hospital was pretty convinced it was seizure activity. And he said she couldn't drive until she had a 24 to 48 hour EEG that, the little 5-minute one they do, or, even a half-hour one is not adequate, because it's not like someone with a seizure disorder shows evidence of it every half hour. If so, they would never be able to do anything. But when she had the 24-hour one, and she was pissed. If you know my mother does not take well to being told what to do. Thick-skulled Brooklyn Irish. Yeah. Anyone who thinks I'm stubborn, you should meet my mother. I'm like the most peaceful, easy to get along with person on earth, pretty much, compared to her. Yes, I will get loud and tell you what I think mostly if I'm advocating for someone else, I've noticed. But I definitely get my stubbornness from her. Not that my dad's Brooklyn Irish skull wasn't thick. God knows it was. But he was more of a his got put into... He was a Marine. He was a National Guardsman for many years. He ran his company and took care of his family. That's where his energy went. He was a boss. He was an employer of people. My mom's bossiness comes out more like in the family, in her interactions. So she was like furious that they said she couldn't drive until she did this test, which she kept insisting was unnecessary, and she was having a fit while she waited for them to do the test to get the results. And then, of course, it came back that they couldn't say it was definitely a seizure disorder or seizure activity per se, but her EEG was abnormal, which means there's definitely a chance that it was some sort of seizure activity. Now, probably not full blown, what they used to call grand mal or tonic clonic, the full blown type seizures that most people think of when they say someone is having a seizure, or to use the older term that folks in the UK sometimes will say, like a fit, meaning a full blown grand mal seizure. They don't think she has anything like that, but they think it could have been some sort of like something that lasts a couple seconds, just long enough for her to lose consciousness and then to wake up with that kind of fuzzy headedness that you wouldn't have if you had simply fainted, say, because your blood pressure was a little low. Anyway, so she had to be started on a medication by her doctor to treat seizures, and she has to be 6 months without a seizure before she's allowed to drive. So she is like nuts. She is, at least she has Dennis there to be her personal chauffeur. He's not in school at the moment, so basically, and with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, even if he was in school this semester, he wouldn't be going to classes. So if she needs to go anywhere, he's there to take care of her. And Patrick and I are here at home. Now that Patrick is not feeling great today, I'm hoping it's nothing. Fingers crossed that it's nothing serious. We have to all remember there are still normal colds, flu, other illnesses going around. Just because someone sneezes doesn't mean that they have the coronavirus. You should try shopping sometime with a kid who has year-round allergies and is always sneezing and like making like a clearing his throat kind of noise because he has postnasal drip almost year-round, even though he does take allergy medicine. Anytime he would like clear his throat or God forbid sneeze, everyone in the store like turns around and stares at you, and it's like, people, he's been like this for years. He sneezes. What can I tell you? He takes an allergy pill every day. He's tried several. The one that works the best, he still sneezes every day. Hell, most of us probably sneeze once a day. I don't know what the norm is. There's probably, you can probably Google that how often it is normal to sneeze. But one of the things I had planned on doing with him, and if you watched my unboxing of my recent Globin, no, God, not Globin. I don't get them anymore. I get FabFitFun. I did an unboxing of just recently, and one of the things in it were these gratitude cards. And at first, when I ordered them, I thought they might be blank. It was 30 days worth of gratitude, and it came with this really nice looking pen that, says gratitude right there on the little clip part. And I had thought, because he and I, like I said, are doing the social distancing thing even amongst ourselves. This is a kid I hug every night before bed and say, I love you. It was so hard after not seeing him for 3 weeks. I was concerned that I was the one who had been in the higher risk area where I was downstate. And I was concerned that if I was carrying it, I did not want to spread it to him. So we have not touched each other since I came home. Not even a hug. Hell, not even the socially acceptable elbow bump. And he's pretty much hanging out in his room, which is downstairs. I'm pretty much hanging out in my room, which is upstairs. And, it's funny. We'll text each other even though we're in the same house. Like, what time are we having dinner? And it's kind of like the one time we get together is, we'll have dinner. But I had been thinking, like, maybe we would incorporate, doing one of these gratitude cards. Because when I did the unboxing, I showed them to you. They're not just blank for you to come up with your own thing. They give you like, I only looked at one, and it was like, basically how flavor is something to be grateful for, and what was something you tasted today that you're grateful for. Whereas, like, to me, it would be more, and I said this in the previous video, I'll say it again. No BS. I am someone who regularly makes a point of reflecting on gratitude. So I think more people should. I think it would put their own mind. And I'm not saying that because like I'm meaning it like to be bossy, like you're not grateful enough. You need to be expressing gratitude. Quite the opposite. It it makes your own heart feel better when you stop and think about the things that you have that you're glad you have, and the things that you don't have that you're glad you don't have. Like, say, an illness or some sort of bad circumstance that someone else might be going through. So I do think people need to be more mindful of the things that they should feel gratitude for. So I thought that going through these, like I was starting to say, like I would include in my gratitude normally, like, yes, I'm grateful that Patrick and I don't have to worry where our next meal is coming from, because so many people around the world do have that concern. It never occurred to me to be grateful for a particular taste. So I thought these cards might be interesting. I had not looked through any more of them because I wanted to do it with Patrick. I thought maybe once a day to kind of break up the boredom. Schools are closed. He's home. His school district, first day school was closed. They already called and asked, did he have internet access and a computer at home, which he does. They asked if we had cell service at home, which we don't. Our cell phones don't work where we live. And they asked if, because our school district gives free breakfast and lunch to all students. It used to be like how some schools are, that you have to fill out all this paperwork and prove your financial, prove your income. And our school district, and I think it may just have to do with the average income of the area, which is quite low. I live in a rural area that is socioeconomically not great. Natural beauty, you cannot beat the Adirondack Mountains. It's gorgeous, and it's kind of like a privilege to get to live in such a beautiful place where so many people go out of their way to come here and vacation, whether it's most of the time it's in the summer, but a lot of people come in the winter for skiing. The skiing is a few towns over from where I live, whereas I'm right above Lake George, which is big. I mean, crazy busy in the summer. And Americade, which is a huge motorcycle event. Americade and one or two other big motorcycle gatherings take place in Lake George every summer. So it's a very tourist and specifically motorcycle tourism friendly area. So our school district was put into a program where there was no longer this need for anyone to identify, or for the kid to feel put on the spot that maybe other kids could tell that they weren't paying for their lunch. And they just, at the beginning of the school year, like a couple weeks before school opened, they sent home a letter saying that all kids were now entitled to free breakfast and lunch, period. No paperwork. You don't have to do anything. Breakfast and lunch are free for every student. So yesterday, Monday, the very first day that school was closed, when the principal called, he asked, did we utilize the breakfast and or lunch program? And I said that no, we were set for food. I appreciate the offer. Apparently they're delivering. They're dropping off a bag at the house every day if you need breakfast and lunch. And I thought it was super because he even said to me, I mean, now we know I'm old and that my 17-year-old is my youngest, but the principal, I have a good kid. I've never had to go meet with the principal. Yes, that was a little bit of parental bragging. My son is awesome. Both of my sons are awesome. Neither of them were ever in trouble. Anyway, but he asked me, did I have any younger children who weren't in school yet? Because even if they weren't in school yet, they would provide a meal for them too, if we needed it. if we didn't have enough food in the house, which I thought was super generous. And again, this was from day one. People can make fun of these smaller school districts out in the sticks, but the big cities aren't getting their act together anywhere near as fast. They also offered, like if he hadn't had his own computer, that they have like, what is it, a ProBook, Pro something. It's some sort of computer that they would have loaned him to use for however long. They said they were closing school for a month. I think we all know that realistically they're probably closed for the rest of the school year. And my son is graduating this year. I hope they'll be able to go on their senior trip, even if they have to go on it after they graduate. It's already paid for, and they've all worked so hard to do the fundraising and stuff, and then paying whatever the fundraising couldn't make up the difference for. But that's in May, and right now, travel is quite restricted. So as we sit home, I was going to go through these gratitude cards with him, and now with him in bed, and I just heard him cough. I don't know if you could hear that at all. I just heard him coughing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to do a gratitude a day with you guys. So, while we sit home and self-isolate, let's be grateful. And Denise, let's figure out how you got the box open. There we go. I'm going to shuffle it up a little. I'm just going to take the first card, which I know what it is, because it's the only one out there. I'm going to put it in the back. So this way I'm picking a topic that isn't the one that I just said to you. And you can think about what your answer would be and write it in the comments section. Okay, so our topic today. Did I really think I was going to get away with this without putting the glasses on? Must be getting delusional in my old age. Okay. It says music. Listen to your favorite song today. Are you grateful for how it made you feel? Okay. I don't think music is something that I normally think to include in my gratitude when I am stopping and thinking about what I'm grateful for. So that was kind of a good suggestion. What is my favorite song? That's difficult because like how music kind of depends on what mood you're in. There are several songs I love. Some of them might sound hokey and silly. Some of them are hokey and silly. I like some songs from Sesame Street. I'm not going to lie. They're just fun and they're cute, and it's stuff I listened to when my kids were little, so it just kind of brings a smile to my face when I hear it now. There are songs that I listened to when I was a kid, not necessarily even because it was my taste in music, but it was because it was my mother's taste in music. So that's who, had the radio on in the car, so I got used to those songs. I got to know them. That would mostly be like old country songs. Keep in mind, I was born in 1968. So my, too young to really only have my own musical taste years would be like the 1970s. And so I was pretty much listening to country music during that time because that's what my mother listened to. I don't really listen to much, what would qualify as contemporary country music. Let's see. Lady Gaga, definitely a guilty pleasure. Love her. Shakira's song, Try Everything from the Zootopia soundtrack. One of my current favorite songs. It's just so upbeat and positive. And that's one that makes me feel good. If I just want to have some fun and listen to some crazy stuff, it is usually Lady Gaga that I throw on. Like when I'm driving, I'll just listen to her. I do, like I said, I'll go back to some of that old country stuff from like the 70s, early 80s. The stuff that I heard more and got to know more as a kid. but that stuck with me, you know, a love for those artists. So let's see, of the old country songs, I'm going to go with anything probably by Willie Nelson. Big Willie Nelson fan. His version of You're Always on My Mind, I think, is wonderful. Let's see. Jimmy Buffett, Come Monday. Love that. I know a lot of people think of Jimmy Buffett and just think Margaritaville, which, you know, good tune, but Come Monday to me is like a more emotional, from the heart, like from the gut kind of song, and I love it. John Denver, who my aunt used to listen to when I was little, so that's kind of where I got my John Denver habit. And I do remember that was actually the first music that I bought myself. And you might be saying, Denise, this is so uncool, you shouldn't be admitting this to the world. Remember the times. A John Denver album was one of the first, I believe, was the first music I remember purchasing myself. So let's see, Calypso is one of my favorite songs of his. Matthew. Is Matthew the name of the song, or For Matthew, or I think Matthew is the name of the song written for his uncle. Some Days Are Diamonds. There are a bunch of great John Denver tunes. If I, again, just want some kind of fun, I like Pink. I like, let's see, the one from the Alice in Wonderland soundtrack, Just Like Fire. Love that one. You feel like empowered after you listen to that one, I think. And okay, I guess that would be it as far as my top picks of what songs I would grab to listen to. Oh, I almost forgot one. Don, help me out here, people who like old country music. Don Williams. I'm not going to sing for you, don't worry, because you can probably tell from my not particularly melodic speaking voice that me and singing are just not a thing. And I'm not saying that like as someone who, oh, I really can sing, but I'm pretending I can't. No, I really can't sing. You don't want to hear that. The Don Williams song, though, the chorus is, I believe it might be the name of the song, is Lord, I Hope This Day Is Good. It's another one that's just kind of like you're getting through a rough time. Anyway, that's it. Just wanted to share that. Share what some of your favorite songs are and how you feel about them in the comments. And I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching.